What's up guys, it's the Hunter Project here, welcome back to my channel. Today we will be going over a few features of the oldest Monster Hunter games that we have not seen in quite a long time. If you do enjoy the video, as always, a like would be extremely appreciated and it does help out the channel a ton. But without wasting any more time, let's jump right into the video. Monster Hunter has had a long, rich history, and like with most things, a lot has come and gone over the course of the franchise. Some of it has returned after their initial release, but some features from the past titles never saw the light of day after their debut games. Starting our list off, we have the Day and Night Cycle from Monster Hunter 2, and this came along with the season system as well, and together these two time features would affect what quests and monsters the player could encounter. And while Day and Night Cycles have shown up in some form since, they weren't done in the same fashion as to the original introduction. This was a really cool system and I can understand why they never brought it back. It did a really good job for immersion and was very in-depth for its time, but having time-locked monsters and quests did seem it is quite an irritating idea, and just to think about just doesn't seem too great. Maps were also locked off to the seasons, so having a hot season, or at least being in the game when it was the hot season, locked off the desert map and all the quests, and if there were desert specific monsters, they would also be locked off of course. And then you had the cold season, which would do the same thing to the snowy mountains, and then breeding season, where all the areas were available. And the time of day system has been kept in Monster Hunter since, but of course it does work in a different way and it's not as impactful to the gameplay, and it is a lot more accessible to the player. I wouldn't be too against the seasonal system returning if they manage to make it not as strict with locking off content for immersion, but who knows. Let me know down below guys what you think of the seasonal system and whether or not you'd want it to return with its original features or revamped features that you guys can think of. Another feature that has been long gone since Generation 2 is manual farming. I personally miss this one a lot and I think it could be easily re-implemented alongside the now traditional automated farm. This was most potent in Freedom Unite, where it was fleshed out quite a lot with manual mining, fishing, and slightly automated farming for like crops, but with a few extra farming areas that were player interaction points, like bug netting. I think this solely is just for immersion, of course, for the in general. Farming, when it was manual at least, was always an immersion thing for the franchise, as I think we can all agree that we wouldn't want to completely get rid of the automated farming that we have now in any scenario, as there are points where you just want to farm a monster on repeat while having items being farmed for you on repeat in the background. But I do think they could bring this back in some form where automated farming is the main type, and then you have little optional areas where you can mine some nodes that reset on a quest basis. But of course, we will have to see if they ever want to even try bring that back in the future, or if they have any kind of considerations or plans to do so. In addition to those two, one little change they did after Monster Hunter 2 was the way the kitchen worked, and in that installment, meals couldn't be prepared without a little price, and it wasn't a currency type of price, it would be a resource. So here you would have to collect the resources required to have a meal cooked for pre-quest buffs, and this was a bit unnecessary later in the game, especially due to being able to buy the items that you would originally collect from the going out into quests and going into the field to collect these items, but then you could end up buying them. So it was a feature that kind of became redundant towards the end game. So in the end, this feature, or this part of the feature for the kitchen, was removed entirely from the series, and the closest thing that we've got to this idea since was the idea of being able to collect items and resources from our quests to upgrade our ingredients, rather than for us to provide the ingredients to cook the food up like directly from the field. But yeah, I doubt we'll ever see this like feature come back to the series, but of course we'll never know. Maybe Capcom will bring it back in some form in the future. Lastly, we have the final change on our list, and that is the skill system. This was more of a recent change to the franchise which occurred in Monster Hunter World, where skills were simplified to buffs per skill level rather than having thresholds for skill activation. In the past titles that released prior to Monster Hunter World, armor pieces would have a fraction of the skill points required to activate a skill, and plus 10 or plus 15 and so on bonuses would be required to achieve the activation state for that given skill, or to upgrade it when reaching a higher increment of 5. And this could also work in the opposite way, with the negative skills being a thing. And then in Monster Hunter World, this was all simplified down to having levels of skills, and if you had one level of a given skill, it would instantly be activated to a small degree, and this would increase with additional levels up to level 3 or to even level 5 in certain circumstances. But with that said guys, that does bring us to the end of this video. If you did enjoy, be sure to smash the like button, it is extremely appreciated and helps out the channel a ton, and subscribe to join us on our journey to 10,000 subscribers. Comment down below if there are any features you missed from previous Monster Hunter entries that you would love to see return, and don't forget to join our Discord, link is at the top of the description. Thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you all in the next one. Bye.